Hey, what's going on? Back with another video. Today I'm recording this one actually after the fact. I've already recorded the video, but I had a bad microphone setting on, so here we are. Anyway, I am modifying the Lamborghini Huracan. In the real world is what it's called, but in this game it is the Tempesta, as you know it. And this one is actually a mod of the vanilla version, if that makes any sense. So, in other words, it's the what's the name? Tempesta, of course, that's what I'm thinking of. But it's just a Spyder. As you can see, it's got that removable top. So I decided to modify it by putting on relatively kind of modest enhancements. The wing in the back, particularly, that is from what you'd see in a Gallardo Performante. If you know what that is, it's basically just a Lamborghini Gallardo Spyder, and it's got this cool little wing up there that I really don't see in many other cars besides Lamborghinis. They're funny little wings. And the front end, as you can see, which I'm working on now, I kept to look traditionally Lamborghini. There are a ton of different bumpers you could pick with a varying degree of angularity, some of them way more extreme than the other. But the crazier they get, the more it starts to look like an aftermarket body kit, the more it looks like you're staring at a car whose front end is not actually by the manufacturer. And the back here, the exact same thing. I thought that those airflow vents looked awesome. Not even vents, what would you... It's not a scoop. Outlets, air outlets, I don't know, electrical outlets. It's where you plug stuff into. But you can see in the back bumper there, and of course with the exhaust... Is there anything better than an exhaust in a non-traditional area, which is, of course, kind of coming out the back grille? There's a guy that modified a C8 Corvette wide body to look like that, and the exhaust comes out actually by where the license plate does, and that is something that you can snap your fingers and it instantaneously makes a car look more exotic. My voice, I am losing it, so forgive me. And another thing too, the wheels... I know that they don't really fit well, but there is something nice about them. I wish they made them in way smaller sizes, because those wheels look good on pretty much anything, maybe not so much an exotic. And now we're going with the hood. You know, whatever you can find on the hood that just has a couple of vents to make it look a little more extreme is the way to go. I've always thought that the hoods with the huge scoops, the huge vents, the huge cal induction pieces, or whatever you want to call them, were reserved for muscle cars. It just doesn't look right on some exotics. Now, this was the hard part. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of something. But the color. Because Lamborghinis are one of the very few vehicles, Ferraris not included, by the way, they can pull off those limes and the bizarre metallics and the neon colors. The wraps, you know, of like chrome look terrible on basically every car. But with this, I thought, let's do something that is not so traditional. That's a little bit different. So I went with gold. Not to give you too much of a spoiler alert, but I actually did end up changing it later on. I drive around with it, but it looked good in theory. It looked like it was a color that could be pulled off by a person who custom ordered their Tempesta, their Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spyder. And because they're so rich, they could get such a unique and desirable color. And then you started to see it in different lighting angles, and you're like, this car, it looks like, I don't know, it looks like it's sponsored by a toilet paper company. It just was not the gold that I thought we were going to get. So this is where the drive begins. Of course, it's nothing remarkable, because it's just basically the exact same car. Just the Spyder, if anything, with the removable top, if it were mechanized, mechanical, which it's not. In the real world they are, but in this one it's not. Probably because they didn't want to do a roof animation, I don't blame them. It would actually probably be a bit slower. But convertible exotics, they've always been a breed of vehicle that I cannot think of anything more rich looking. And of course not in a superficial way and not in a materialistic way, just the fact that usually when you see a Ferrari, you're like, wow, that's awesome, a base model Ferrari. Base model, I don't think anyone says that. But when you see a 488 Spyder or a Huracan Spyder or an idiot that can't drive, you always know that that is really about as high as it can go. And then, of course, you have something like the 488 Pista. When you have that in a convertible, you know you are really... That's a very high class of car. The LaFerrari Aperta. I mean, it's like a $5 million car, and a normal LaFerrari is, what, $3 million or something. So I went in the parking garage. For whatever reason, parking garages are like a haven, a sanctuary for cars and car meets. I don't know if it's just because they're spacious regions where you can fit multiple vehicles because they're meant for cars, or because there's that resonance, which makes basically any car sound better. So my reward for getting to the top was changing the color, because I said the faster I get there, the faster, or the sooner I don't need to look at this atrocious gold color anymore, which again is reserved for probably Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Maybachs, and any other high-end car that I can think of. And I went with the green, but I did throw a little bit of a curveball. I went with a matte green because usually that's the way matte is meant to look. By the way, it's meant to have some shine to it still. It's not realistic or kind of worldly. It's not realistic to have a car with zero shine. But that is the way it ended up looking, and it looks okay. Again, it looks okay. It looks like, I think, what a car in the vanilla game would look like without graphic enhancements. Not all, but some. So it looks okay. I mean, it's a Lamborghini. You kind of feel foolish. It's a Tempesta. It's a Pegasi. You sort of feel foolish when you don't capitalize on the exotic nature of it by picking a color that obviously would not work for a Kia Sorento. And now my send-off here, I actually said that before recording, but now it was a pun, so I'm going to use it. My send-off is quite literally sending it off the top of a building, and I failed in such a spectacular manner, in fact, that I didn't even, I wasn't even afforded the stunt camera. They said, no, for that atrocious gold color you have, we're just going to let you total the car. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video.